Well, welcome everyone here to world-challenge.com for our live coverage of the inaugural round for the GTS Sprint X Championship for our 2016 season here for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas at Circuit of the Americas. I'm Jeff Lepper, joined by Calvin Fish. We'll have Ryan Marine down on pit lane a little bit later. But Calvin, GTS category, GT4 homologated cars, this class has blown up.
It's exploded, 37 cars on the grid. And just a wonderful variety of different manufacturers are represented here this weekend and throughout the course of our championship season as well. And as you mentioned, Sprint X format being utilized as well, which means after 25 minutes, you have a 10-minute window to make a mandatory pit stop. However, driver changes in GTS are not mandatory. So effectively, some guys are electing to go it alone. So they'll basically sit on pit lane. And the way the pit lane delta, the amount of time that you need to spend a pit lane, is calculated, is essentially a 45-second driver change or working on the car opportunity, and then plus the pit lane delta, which is at 32 seconds. So that means the total time that you come into pit lane, hit that timing loop to pit out, needs to be not less than 77 seconds. You can be more than that, but you're just losing time in the competition. Yeah,
you definitely don't want to be more than that, and they'll be the clock. You'll be able to see if they're too fast or too slow and where you lose those times from the time that you enter pit lane to exit at that 77 mark. A change in the tire rule as well. Traditionally in Pirelli World Challenge, you would start the race on the tires you qualify on. Not so anymore.
Yes, essentially you get given 3 sets plus a carryover set from a previous race weekend. So 4 effectively sets of tires to use, and you can use them how you want. So it's really down to the teams to strategize around that. In some cases, I'm not sure we saw anyone do it today, but I believe it's still possible to actually run 2 sets of tires in qualifying. Your first set times will be disallowed at that point, and then just calculated on the remaining time in the session. But lots of different strategies, and I think effectively most teams are looking to try and utilize those 3 sets, with a set for qualifying and a set for each race.
Well, looking at some of the grids too, this is just a who's who in Pirelli World Challenge competition. James Safranis, your past GTA champion last season. Toby Grahovic, your past touring car champion, doing double duty. Tony Gaples, Lawson Aschenbach, Scott Maxwell, Jade Buford. The names that you have going through this list of Derek DeBoer, Andy Pilgrim now returning back to Pirelli World Challenge competition, Cal.
Yeah, it's great to see Andy back on the grid, a long-time Cadillac and GM driver, and he's going to be joining Lawson Aschenbach, our champion from last year, and swept the opening rounds at St. Petersburg. So a great start to his season campaign. But I think maybe Andy's qualifying run was maybe the biggest surprise of everyone in qualifying here this morning. He lines up 20th on the grid, several spots behind Tony Gaples, who was in the sister number 11 Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro. So a lot of work to do, but he's got the experience. He's just got to be really careful and patient, maybe wait for a reset, and just try and turn the car over to be a healthy race car to Lawson Aschenbach to bring it home. No tire changes allowed in GTS Sprint X format. If there's a damaged tire, you're allowed to do a tire change, but you can't just throw some fresh rubber at it halfway through.
So come into the pit stop, driver change only, check the car visually, maybe clean the windshield a little bit, and you're back underway. Speaking of that single driver format, it was a single driver that we actually have on the pole in our Pro-Am category, the number 69 Racers Ed Motorsports Cinar 1 Fram Autolite Protein Water sponsor car. And this is a driver, per the rules, based on his silver rating, he has to run an extra 2.5% of weight as well.
Yeah, if you're a silver driver going it alone, you have to run 2.5% of weight. If there's 3 cars, I believe, that have a bronze-rated driver. Andy Pilgrim is one. I think the Jake Buford, Scott Maxwell, and the Shane Lewis, Gar Robinson entries, they all have to run that 2.5% of weight, which is a lot. It's like 80, 90 pounds, depending on the starting weight of your car. So that's a lot of time. I mean, it effectively, in terms of what it costs you in lap time, and it's not like you can take it out when that driver gets out. It stays in the race car, so it's going to affect Lawson Aschenbach and Jade Buford and Gar Robinson when they jump in. So it's going to affect the whole car, and that's probably worth a good half to 3/4 of a second around this racetrack in terms of what it's going to cost you in lap time.
It's going to hurt you in tire wear later on too, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, tire degradation is always a factor as hard as you run these races. And a little bit of weight, you're just putting a lot more stress on everything, particularly stopping the race car and certainly cornering loads as well. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out throughout the course of this 60-minute race, 60 minutes for Sprint X competition.
Well, your GTS AM pole winner, Vesko Kozarov and Ace Robbie in their rear-end racing Audi R8 LMS GT4. We just saw the touring car race winner today, Vesko Kozarov, so doing double duty, finishes his podium celebration for getting that win, and he has to go step in this car starting third.
Yeah, he's warmed up and he's fired up. Getting out, I mean, rather than sort of like celebrate the victory in touring car, he's more angry at himself for not having pole position for this race. So you have to think that he's going to probably try and put that right at the beginning.
Well, to get this race started, let's get down to Ryan Marine for our command to start engines.
Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here with us from Classic BMW is Eric Moss to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Way to go there for Eric Moss. We talk about that classic BMW. Got a chance to tour that facility there in Plano, Texas. Thank you so much for him to give that command. Also providing our pace car, that beautiful M3 GTS. You see our medical vehicle parked off there just to the right, that BMW X5. So give the command there as we get ready to start our GTS Sprint X competition race here at Circuit of the Americas. See a good field rolling out here. I don't think young Harry Gottzecker was supposed to be leaving there, but there's that Reardon Racing Audi Stance-sponsored car. The Racer Inc. Mustang. There's a good story of Nate Stacy and Dee Martin. Of course, Nate Stacy starting his 5th year of competition here in Pirelli World Challenge and just turned 18. So that tells you how long he's been doing this, and got a victory last week in a Mustang. Comes here this week with his teammate and team owner, Dee Martin.
Yeah, Dean's been his mentor whilst he's been running at the with the core team, so they're going to be very, very strong here today. They could, can they win? Well, I think they have an equal chance for anyone else on this grid. I mean, Gottzacker's going to be tough. I mean, he got that little bit of weight, but that Sin is a pretty lightweight car anyway, so he's going to be there, and he doesn't have to get warmed up. He doesn't have to get in a rhythm. He's just going to stop for 45 seconds, take off again, and just resume his race. But I think the start will be key. We've seen Harry at a pole position many times here. Real great young talent, 18 years old, lives not that far away from this circuit here in Texas. But getting that first victory is always a tough nut to crack.
Well, 37 cars officially set to take the green flag here. Looking at least that's how many took qualifying times. I believe we had 38 to start with, and Jeff Courtney not able to make the race here today. Looking at some of our other AM categories, the BMW M4 GT4 of Classic BMW, Toby Grahovic and Chris Omak, they're going to be taking the green second place in our GTM category, 8th overall, and Aurora Strauss, Al Carter. Good story there with Aurora Strauss in that number 36 ST Racing BMW M4 GT4.
Yeah, she's a great talent, 18 years old, real poise, savvy, smart young woman, and she's quick in a race car as well. She's being mentored by Nick Longy, and they've got a great little team there, teaming up with ST Racing this year. I think she's going to be a real factor this weekend. Al Carter can get the job done as her co-driver.
I get word from race control. It appears the young Nate Stacy going to get a chance to wave the green flag to start off the group here.
That could be unique if he can wave the green and maybe take the checker.
That would be cool. That will
First time in racing, I would say.
We will watch that going on, but Nate doing a great job within the series, does a lot of the PA calling on the GT races here at the track, steps into the booth and helps out. Just a great young man there in that Racer Inc. Core Motorsports Mustang GT4. As coming down here into turn at number 12, trying to get some heat into these Pirelli P0 tires. There's the Scott Maxwell and the number 55 PF Racing. 3 cars strong here from PF Racing in that Pesic family is what the PF stands for. Racing machine. His dad, JR, and James Pesic also racing here this weekend.
Yeah, great support from Multimatic Racing. They've got Jay O'Connell, who's one of the technical guys there. A long time with the Rahal BMW team, has now moved over to Multimatic and is there advising the team, and obviously with the support along comes with it someone like Scott Maxwell. He's kind of a Multimatic factory guy, and he's going to be jumping in here to try and get a strong result for the team here this weekend.
There's a good shot of the team principal there, that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro GT4R. Tony Gaples teamed up this time with Michael Cooper, won the championship in the GTS category in that car. So good to see Tony Gaples and Michael Cooper teamed up together.
Awesome qualifying result. Top 10, that is something else. Tony's really on top of it this year. Big fitness program. I think he's lost about 40 pounds since the start of last season. Started to lose a little bit of weight during the course of the 2017 season. He comes back, looks like a different guy, and what a qualifying one for him. He's always a great racer.
Yeah, half of a Tony, really. You see him standing around here as they come out of turn number 19, down here into turn number 20, waiting for that green flag. Now, the green flag is further down the front stretch. The checkered flag will end right there where you see that white line across the track, so they got to wait a little while before we go green, Cal.
Kozarov in the third spot in the Audi. He'll be menacing, but remember, he's got to adjust to this different race car from the touring car that he took the checkered flag in.
And there is Nate Stacy from that Core Motorsports Mustang giving that green flag. Wow, all the way down to the inside. Damage
Hedlund,
to Mike
I think, is in trouble there. Right front corner on the Flying Lizard Audi. Contact with the BMW that goes bouncing to the inside.
I believe that was the Epic Motorsports car there. Mike Hedlund just trying all he can to get to the outside, no steering in that Audi.
Oh, that's a shame. He had a strong run at St. Petersburg. I think he was second in points coming in here this weekend. And he's going to be parked there.
That Audi R8 LMS from Flying Lizard Motorsports. And let's see if we can get a look here kind of at the middle of your screen there.
The BMW's just not looking, has a run on the 51 Panos and just takes out Mike Hedlund.
Yeah, I think that's Randy Mueller behind the wheel of that Epic Motorsports BMW M4 GT4, the Patriot Lending car. There it is, the number 3.
Yeah, it's a shame because he had a strong run on the Panos, certainly legit to go for the move, but Hedlund had already got a run to the inside as things settling down at the front. Gottsacker from the pole has the lead. Kozarov up to second early, now under pressure from Maxwell.
Maxwell going to get that draft to see if Dean Martin can come in behind the Mustangs. They can work together to get back around that Audi. Gottsacker checking out down the straightaway down into turn number 12 as they go back full course yellow. See a lot of cars waving back, weaving back and forth. So there's a flash of the lights from Kozarov. Full course yellow with the damage from Hedlund, and he's stopped up there in turn number 1. We really have no choice but to go full course.
Yeah, I mean, with the parked Audi up in the turn 1 runoff area, and this one is not in a safe position either. Just a regroup here. That's a shame because there's plenty of space here. There really shouldn't be need for contact if you just got your eyes about you in terms of where the other competitors are, and he just missed the Hedlund and made a move to the inside.
Yeah, great to see an Audi in that traditional Flying Lizard colors. Also to see the Porsche there. And watching all the cars fanning through here. Let's get a replay there as you see Mueller starting to move his way over. Hedlund never dipped the nose either, so I don't think he even saw him coming either. You try to look for the front to see if that dipped down as everybody fans out down the straightaway, both trying to get around him and trying to get themselves into turn and through turn number 1.
Good job by everyone else in avoiding there. I think it was Merzon there to the outside, just squeaks through in the case of Audi.
You saw Cameron Lawrence and Jorgensen there. We just saw in our TC race battle get through there as well, the number 113 BMW.
The problem when you have a problem early, Jeff, as you know, qualifying for race 2 is set by your fastest lap of race 1. So if you go out without a representative time like Hedlund here, not only does it mean today is ruined, but you're going to be starting from the back tomorrow. It digs a big hole for your weekend.
And one of the advantages, too, with this being the very first lap, though, that Flying Lizard team will be really hoping they can get that car back quickly. Maybe they can get it fixed. The damage is not too bad, and he can try to go out and get a lap. But I think with that huge of a hit against the wall and being sandwiched by the BMW, his race might be done today.
Yeah, we saw the damage to the right side front. See what else there is, and the real key is where do they tow it to, whether they get it back to the paddock, whether the Flying Lizard team led by Jim Bell can go to work or not. And the other thing is you got to do 50% of the race or even score any points, so you don't even get last place points at this stage of the game unless you are able to achieve 50% of the laps of the leader. What it's also going to do is going to eat away on that clock. Remember, as early as 25 minutes in, you can come in and get your driver change done. And essentially, the parameters were that your dedicated amateur driver had to qualify. And if you go by your normal strategy, you want to get your fast guy in as fast as possible. So you would think once that 25-minute window hits, You can stay out there for another 10 minutes, but you're eating up the clock in terms of getting your fast guy in there and laying down slightly faster lap times.
Even a new rule change for this season, too, to clarify that before they would put up a flag at the 25-minute mark and you had to pass through the start-finish line. Now, the second it's 25 minutes, you could duck in the pits. You could pretty much see maybe a top 10 car, top 20 car be the first car to pit.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be safe. You don't want to cut it too tight, but certainly it's not inconceivable to see the guys running in last place be the first car to pit, whereas before the leader was kind of protected by everyone having to see that flag on the start-finish line, and then the next lap you could come in if you chose to. But right now, as soon as the clock hits 25 minutes, everyone is free to pit.
Well, Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell there, some of the great teams we see. Morello Racing in that Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. Aurora Strauss there made a good start. Drew Stavely, he swept both of the races in the GTS AM category at St. Petersburg 2 short weeks ago. He's another driver in that Ginetta G55, 12th overall right now, going to be doing the race by himself. So good to see from the Ian Lacey racing team.
That's a great little team. Love Ian. He was a good racer himself way back when, and has formed a great team and got some great people on board, and just give it 1,000,000%. Stavely, as we've said, swept the GTSA category at St. Petersburg.
There is 2 categories here racing. It's basically a Pro-Am category, and then we also have the Am category. So you put your Pro in, it could be a gold, a silver, and then your Am being the bronze to be able to run in this. And if you're a silver, you have to add the extra weight. If you're a bronze, you can still do it by yourself. So we'll get our heads around the rules, and fans alike. And it's a good shot of Mark Clennon in that Premier copier, McLaren 570 GT4 with your Optima battery. Best start of the race award winner, picking up 7 positions on the first lap. So didn't have the qualifying that he was looking for, and was able to climb up 7 positions for him.
When we talk about those driver changes, you're going to see names like Lawson Archibald, who leads this championship, Ian James, who went on a tear last year with numerous wins in that Panos Avezzano, but also guys like Colin Brown, who's joining George Kurtz here this for the Sprint X Championship season. And Michael Cooper is back in GTS competition. He's won here at Circuit of the Americas before for the team, and he's teamed up with Tony Gaples, who had that strong qualifying run, strong start to this race. Look for Michael Cooper to be a real factor here at the checkered flag this afternoon.
Take a look here at a replay kind of everything that happened here at the start. They get the green flag, start to fan out. You see Randy Miller and his BMW start going over, sandwiches Mike Hedlund up against that wall as they come up into turn 1, Cal.
Yeah, he just had the perfect start, had a run on Kurtz, flicks to the inside, went to the inside of a BMW, and just took out Mike Hedlund, quite honestly. So I know that Mike has been going to be really frustrated, because he is really a championship contender for the GTSA division this year. And as I said, it's going to be a big hole in the points unless they can get a fix done. No points today and starting at the back tomorrow. Should be able to fix it, no problem, for tomorrow, but not the start he was looking for.
You just see Randy Miller's BMW on the back of the roll truck there, the Flying Lizard Audi on the back of the truck there. So both those cars can get cleared off here pretty quick. We're only about 52 minutes have left in this race, so still plenty of time to go, and we're waiting for those pit stops. Between 25 and 35 minutes, you have to have your pit stop and your driver change done if you are changing drivers. Going to be exciting times when we come down to pit lane.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Harry Gottsecker will just be sitting there, maybe grab a drink of water.
Yeah,
make
latte.
sure the belts are still tight. Grab a little latte. See Tony Gaples coming through. Good run for him. He's moved up 1 position into 9th. Preston Calvert doing a superb job in his Panos this season. Had some bad luck at St. Petersburg, was involved in an incident. They had electrical problems in both of those Panos, and doing a job here running by himself in his Panos, sitting 14th overall.
About 16 minutes from that pit lane window opening. Lights are out.
Yep, lights are off on that BMW pace car.
This is perfect for Vesko Kozlov. He's had a good start. He's up to second, but now he's got into the rhythm of that car. And even though he's driven it yesterday and certainly in qualifying this morning, it's a little bit different when you jump out that TC car and jump into this GT4 machine. it does take a little bit of adapting to. He's had a chance to get into the groove, get into the rhythm. He'll be very strong here at the start, but Gottsacker looked awfully racy at the beginning.
One of the guys you got to watch out for is that 5th position, that Morello Racing machine of Matthew Fosnot. He was your 2017 Pirelli World Challenge TCA champion in a Mazda MX-5, so switching over to this new Mercedes from Morello Racing and doing a good job doing double duty as well. We'll see him later on in the TCR category with Morello Racing in one of his Audi RS3s.
So adjustment for him as well, go from a rear-wheel drive to a front-wheel drive, so there's a lot going on. These drivers are certainly very busy here on these multi-class weekends. And Keegan there, starting for Ian James. Ian didn't get his campaign after the start he was looking for at St. Petersburg, but I think they're going to be a real threat for the championship. Car has now been over to Paul Ricard and gone through the homologation process for the GT4 spec. And they're pretty close to getting the final papers on that, I believe.
Well, Harry Gottsacker, the pace car lights are out. It accelerates to pit lane. It is his, as Vesko Kozarov did in the touring car race yesterday, his choice on when he wants to go once he enters that acceleration zone.
Watch for the two veterans behind these two as well. We've got Maxwell and Dean Martin, those big throaty V8s right behind them.
Oh, Harry Gottsacker doing a good job in that Sin R1, using its weight to accelerate out of turn number 20. Waiting for that green flag here as they come down. He's going to pull to the inside to protect a little bit. Green flag as we're back underway with GTS here at Circuit of the Americas.
Nicely timed there by Harry Gottsacker. Protects to the inside. Look at Kozarov, sweeps out wide. See where he is as he exits this corner. Can he time it perfectly? No, he doesn't. He leaves the door open for Maxwell. Maxwell gets a run. But Kozarov goes for the lead. It's tight right there.
Down to the inside, but the momentum that Gottsacker had as it carried through as we're tunneled up here. Looks like that's Mark Keegan in the number 50 Panos. He shares with the engine. Oh, and there is a major contact. I believe that was Lisa Sobey. Yeah, Soba. Oh, and that McLaren car he shares with Andy Lee, and there's just turns the corner and right in front. Let's see if we can see what spun the Panos.
He lost it by himself. I didn't see any contact. It looked like he got lucky for a while, and then suddenly that McLaren was blinded momentarily and just had nowhere to, see the 22 car, like sudden evasive action, and he was left with nowhere to go.
I believe that was Marco Radicic in the 22 BMW movement, but I saw damage to Andy Pilgrim in that Chevy Camaro, and I got to think your championship leader in the GTS Pro category, Lawson Aschenbach, his teammate. We'll see how heavily damaged that Camaro is, but that was definitely a good shot that Andy Pilgrim gave to the car in front of him. Saw that on the replay, so we'll monitor that.
And again, this is just eating into that clock. We're now 12 and a half minutes into this race. And this is not what Tom Milner and everyone leading that Panos Racing team were looking for to see their championship charge car, the 50 machine. Ian James just had such a stunning year last year when he just went on a march mid-season and really took it after Lawson Aschenbach. 6 wins. And definitely one of the favorites coming into this year.
Oh, you can see just the litter of carbon fiber and bodywork there on the exit of turn number 1. So it's going to take a significant cleanup to get those cars clean. Harry Gottsacker did a good job on that start, protected down to the inside. Vesko Kozarov trying to see if, like you said, Cal, doing that over-under, sweeping way wide to try to get under there. But Harry, just a young man, doing a superb job protecting that inside on the exit of 1.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence. He's a really smart young man, and he's been learning the trade over the last 2 or 3 seasons, getting the confidence with his pace and the pole positions, and now he's got to just manage this race. Again, it's going to be a little bit strange to see him make that mandatory pit stop, and effectively nothing has to happen. He just sit still, take a break, and look at the clock, and it'll be a lot easier for them to manage that 45-second sit still period, and then the overall 77 seconds that you've got to burn on pit lane.
Looks like the damage to Andy Pilgrim so far has not caused any significant there. The car's still running around on the track with Pilgrim back in 18th. I saw Jason Bell, I think was who he made contact with, so I'll have to watch those 2 vehicles to make sure, because that could have potential in the points championship here with our overall leader, Lawson Aschenbach, sweeping both rounds in the overall category in the GT Pro at St. Petersburg, Florida. A separate AM championship taking place for your leader in the AM category right now, Vesko Kozarov, and his teammate, Ace Robbie.
Well, the cloud cover is burning off a little bit. Brighter skies there. Ambient temp right now is about 76, supposed to climb into the low to mid 80s by the end of the afternoon. And this can change things. You get that sun coming through, affect the track temperature a little bit.
I see Dean Martin pulling off over there. Not sure if he was just trying to stay out of the way of all the debris, keeping it really tight coming up the hill. Hopefully he's not having a problem. Does not look like it. Back there in that 4th position. Matthew Foss not just doing a superb job. Justin Pistatel is one of his driver coaches, and they got to run together at Daytona in the Audi RS3 LMS, doing the RS3 in the TCR category by himself. Teamed this weekend with Christian Smackjack. And Christian returns to racing as well, been a long-time competitor.
Yeah, he's a good guy, though. He was kind of the super sub in another championship for the past few years, and always seems to be able to step up to the plate, putting really fast lap times. Really race savvy as well, so I think Matt's got a great teammate there, Shimshak.
Well, let's take a quick look here and see, Cal. I think there was no contact that we saw. Let's see if we can just see if he just lose it on his own there.
Yeah, I think you see the 36 car of Aurora Strauss a little bit ahead of Matt, and he just loses the rear end there, relatively cold tires, and then just suddenly the seas part, and there, nowhere to go for the McLaren.
Yeah, just with Marco Radicic seeing to be the first there, you're right on the back bumper looking down to see what line to take. And this is potential for Ian James now. Last season at St. Petersburg had 2 DNFs, and that affected his championship. Didn't quite have the run he was looking for at St. Petersburg, Florida either. Now going to score a big fat 0 points here today.
Well, that could be good news for Lawson Aschenbach. I'm sure Lawson's been biting his nails here this morning, seeing that his car's qualified back in the 20th position. You're mired in the action where things can happen like we've already seen here today, Jeff. So I'm sure that's a concern for Lawson Aschenbach, and he'll certainly, you don't want to wish any bad luck on any of your competitors, but you know that Ian is going to be certainly a championship contender.
Yeah, you can see the damage to the back of Jason Bell's Audi R8 there. Some bodywork flapping in the wind, and that was the car that Andy Pilgrim got into when he saw the replay there. As we're still waiting on word on Pilgrim's car to see if there was any damage significantly there. You got to worry about oil coolers and radiators there at the front end. Well, still under pace lap with the incident with Elise Sabo in that McLaren 570 GT4. Unfortunate with Mark Keegan in that Panos Avezzano causing the incident there. Drivers are Shane Lewis and Gar Robinson in that number 74 Rance Racing Machine doing a good job. He's up into the 8th position. But Tony Gaples, boy, he talked about his fitness program there at the beginning, losing a little over 40 pounds on the weight. And it wasn't all in his hair. The last weight he lost, he cut his hair out for Tony Gaples, but just a great personality. Long-time veteran here in Pirelli World Challenge competition. Ray Sorensen, team manager there at Black Dog Speed Shop, multiple championships with that team, bringing this Camaro GT4 platform. And there's the damage you can see to the second of those Black Dog Speed Shop Camaros.
Yeah, it's going to hurt the aero effect of that car a little bit. Importantly, though, I don't see any water spraying from it, so they may have dodged a big one there in terms of any damage that could have potentially taken them out of the race here today. So just that stack-up effect, even with the experience of Andy Pilgrim, you can get caught out there. And getting back to the Tony Gaples thing, I spoke to Michael Cooper, who's teamed with him this weekend. Obviously, he was Tony's teammate when Michael won this GTS championship a few years ago. He said, I think I can get the best out of Tony. He listens to me. Yes, he looks at Lawson's data. He'll put it down after a short while. I can get him focused. He said, I can tell him where he's losing time rather than him just telling me where he's a bit quicker. He said, I can really get him focused on the task at hand, and I think that's what we saw this morning. Tony's always been a great racer. He always makes up a ton of spots in the races, but qualifying has kind of been his stigma over the years, and this morning's run was really good. I mean, 10th out of this 37-car field is a great run for Tony.
Well, trying to get an update here on that number 1. So I think Ryan Marine is down there with that teammate, Lawson Aschenbach.
That's right. I got lost in here, and certainly championship implications given what we've seen. What do you know about the state of the car as it is?
It sounds like it's okay, so we're going to keep going. I mean, there's no reason to come in and lose a bunch of positions right now, because if we come in for a radiator or something, we're pretty much done anyways. So I'm hopeful it stays together. I mean, we've got a tough Chevrolet Camaro GT4R. I mean, these things can take a beating, and they're still trucking along. So fortunate to have that kind of car on track. And I know Andy's doing what he can out there. It's tough. I mean, this is 38 cars, a lot of competition. We're struggling a little bit on pace right now. But he's really experienced. He knows what he's doing, and I've got a lot of faith in him right now. So we can hopefully move ahead.
Good luck with your stint.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, good to hear from Lawson, and experience is the key. I think he said there 286 starts between those two drivers. Andy Pilgrim, Lawson Aschenbach, 6 championships here in Pirelli World Challenge between the two.
Yeah, that's awesome stats to have in your corner in a situation like this. But I think they was hoping that Andy, even though he's made up, he's up to 16th and 20th, so with the carnage, he certainly grabbed some positions there. But I think they were hoping that he had some time on the board to get that car a little bit more towards the pointy end of the field. So we now see that Panos. That's a sorry sight there, seeing that car drug away, and there's going to be an all-nighter going on down with the Panos team. They're fighters. They've got some of the best mechanics and personnel in the business, so if there's a way of getting that car fixed, they'll certainly give it every attempt that they can.
And no slouch behind the team manager role either, with Tom Milner prepping those two cars with Preston Calvert and Ian James full-time for the season, and then Mark Hegan behind the wheel here today with Ian James. Watching our Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas here at Circuit of the Americas for GTS Sprint X competition.
Less than 5 minutes away from that 25-minute window, so that may coincide with right as we're about ready to go back to green. Even though there's not been a lot of racing for these starting drivers here today, strategy will overrule that, rather than just saying, you know what, I know you didn't get a shot at it today, but we've got to try and get the best result we can. If the strategy is to get the second driver in, as we've mentioned, a lot of these guys running in the Pro-Am class here today, and the rules dictated that the AM driver started, so effectively a faster guy should be getting in next, or a faster driver. Some females in the race as well, of course.
Well, pace car lights are out as we get ready to go green next time by. We'll see how that strategy plays out with the pit stops coming up. About 3 minutes to go, so they will be able to get a full lap in before they're able to come back down that pit lane at the 25-minute mark. So we'll see. We'll definitely keep Ryan Marine busy down there on pit lane with 38 cars doing pit stops.
Yeah, and I imagine that they're going to get the green, then the next time by, you should be able to duck into pit lane the way it's timing out, just doing the rough math here. So I think you'll get the green before the 25-minute mark, but next time around with a 2-minute plus lap, it should be open for anyone who chooses to head down to the pit lane.
Harry Gottsacker in our acceleration zone once again. It's his determination when he wants to go. Vesko Kozarov right on the back bumper of that Sin as he comes down through turn number 19. A hard corner down the hill. A lot of fines and penalties so far for track limit violations right there. Out of turn number 20 onto the front stretch, looking to go green again. He's on it, waiting for that green flag to fly. Goes down to protect the inside, Cal.
Yeah, he does, which he's certainly entitled to do. Kozarov tries to get another run. What will he do this time? Kozarov went really high, doing it once again. He's going to try and sweep to the inside. Didn't quite time it the last time. Maxwell looks to the inside. Can Vesko get that Audi tucked in as Maxwell and Dean Martin fight out for third position?
It just looks like that Sin is so good coming off the corner. He's able to pull a little bit of a gap. Just Vesko going to be in defense mode against Maxwell now.
Look at that Sin, look at Gottsacker, really good handling there. That lightweight car super quick through the S's, change of direction, so important there.
Scott Maxwell starting to go on the back bumper of that Audi of Kozarov, the Rearden Racing stance machine. Gottsacker pulling about a 3-4 car length lead as it comes down to turn number 11 through 10 down the hill. 1 minute, 15 seconds to go before the pit stops.
It's going to be tight as they cross the stripe. It was about a full green flag lap, but I think it's going to be tight for the leaders. You might find that some of the guys at the back of the pack, we talked about it earlier, maybe the first opportunity to pit will be open to the guys at the back of the pack versus the front. Look at this, Vasco defending heavily here from Scott Maxwell. Dean Martin in the draft. Big battle here for second.
Yeah, the two Mustangs nose to tail trying to go to the outside of Kozaroff down here into turn number 12, protecting to the inside. Look at Fosnot and Grahovic side by side as well.
Oh, this is tight coming off. Maxwell gets forced wide a little bit, but he's got the inside line for the next corner, turn 13. Dean Martin has a sniff as well. Almost contact there between he and Kozaroff.
And Grahovic was able to get around Fosnot for that 5th place as they go down through the stadium section that you call it here, Calvin, through turn number 16.
Yeah, great viewing area right here. Then this triple apex carousel type corner where it drops off on the exit. Down the hill, sweeps down, but up front, Harry Gottsacker has taken the pace of that sin that he showed in qualifying and put it to great effect here on this restart lap.
According to our official clock, 8 seconds to go. Pit lane is right here. None of our leaders going to be able to pit. We'll see if any of the back markers now, middle of the field, duck down to pit lane. It's 35 minutes now to go, so 25 minutes have expired.
Yep. Anyone else now who hasn't got to that stripe yet, you can see it clearly marked across the racetrack, right where the Armco barrier and the tire start, but the pit entrance. Maxwell up to second. Dean Martin out of the inside of Kozaroff. He just sweeps across and takes the apex from him.
Toby Grahovic going to be trying to see if he can work his way around Dean Martin as well. Toby's been a busy man in that classic BMW. 3 races in a row in that M4 GT4 with St. Pete, Sebring. And now, as you see, some of our teams down here on pit lane.
Yeah, some of these guys towards the back end of the pack. And if you got another caution right now, it would really help these guys out. They should be able to do this driver change, get the cars back out, stay on the lead lap.
See Justin Raphael in the classic BMW coming down. Ryan, what do you have down there on pit lane?
Standing by, taking a look at the Black Dog guys as they look over that Camaro GT4. Andy Pilgrim out, Lawson Aschenbach gets in. They took a look at that front end of the car, definitely damaged. They peeled away some of the bodywork to hopefully allow some better airflow to the radiator. Brakes are steaming, and Aschenbach pulls away.
Remember, they had that 77-second time from the enter pit lane to exit pit lane and complete their driver change. Trying to look for our countdown clocks as it looks like Cameron Lawrence and the car of Darren Jorgensen backwards, the number 113 M4 GT4, right there on the exit of turn number 9 before turn number 10. He able to get back underway as Lawson Aschenbach now in the car, going to have to play some catch-up as he's dropped back to, I'm sure it says 18th on the board, but Toby Grahovic got around Dean Martin now.
Yeah, it's a great little battle. Toby's having a great run here. Super stuff, and certainly Black Dog speech up very much on top of that strategy in terms of getting Lawson in. You can see the slight delay in him taking off. There was an issue. He just had to be stationary for 45 seconds to add to that 32 seconds pit lane delta. Cannot be shy of that 77 seconds spent on pit lane.
Well, your leader, Harry Gottsacker, fastest race lap last time by 2:19.789 by almost 2 seconds a lap, as your leader is down on pit lane.
Just playing it safe here. John Meraki and the Racer's Edge team can only hurt you by rolling the dice and staying out.
Looks like Toby Grahovic and Kozaroff stayed out and Grahovic stayed out.
Tony Gables. Gables, a great start here. Going to be turned over to Michael Cooper. There you see him on the wall.
It's getting busy down on pit lane. Ryan, what do you got?
All kinds of activity on pit lane right now. Jade Buford getting out of that PF Mustang, and Buford getting in, Maxwell getting out. Further down, you're right, the leader is in. It's an interesting pit stop, driving solo. Harry Gottsacker in that sin, just sitting there on pit lane, waiting for the time to expire so he can get back out. But an impressive start from him so far. The one remaining Panos also on pit lane. We see James Safronis getting in to his GMG Audi, so very busy indeed down on pit lane here at COTA.
Yeah, Alex Welch did a great opening stint there. Good qualifying effort, and James said, I got the right guy, the right bronze driver to be doing this Sprint X program with. He, of course, had a great year last year. James Safronis, a couple of titles, but in the GTA Sprint and Sprint X competition, so he knows the format. Team GMG at the top of their game right now, and they got off to a strong start at St. Pete. A minor electrical glitch in the first race that cost him a few positions, but bounced back strongly on day 2.
Well, Toby Grahovic staying in that car, and Vesko Kozarov staying in. He's got a lot of experience already on the track today, doing a 40-minute touring car race. Ace Robbie, his teammate, waiting on pit lane to jump into that car. Both of these drivers category in the bronze classification, so there was no pro or am. They can distinguish who they want to be as Harry Gottsecker back onto the track.
Roby's a bit more of an unknown to us, Jeff. He's certainly got great European experience, but you'd have to think that Vesko may be the quicker of the 2 drivers. So the amount of yellow that we've seen in the first half of this race has kind of backfired on them a little bit. I'm sure they wanted to be able to stretch a gap on the rest of the competitors with Vesko's pace, and now they're probably going to stretch this to pit him at the last possible moment in terms of that 35-minute window when you've got to get that pit stop done. But you never know what the teams are thinking on pit lane as Grahovic does stay out a little bit longer. Could probably do another 2 more laps would be tight. Certainly 1 more will be safe. 2 would be really tight to that window to get him in. He's probably got to pit this lap, thinking about the pit lane delta. You've got to be out of pit lane by 35 minutes.
Yeah, so he'll have to pit next time by 2-minute 20-second lap. That previous time, you add that to 2:40. Not enough time to get that pit stop done. So we're over halfway now. Just at that point, 30 minutes to go in this race as Kozarov sliding that Audi R8 LMS GT4 just to the outside there in turn number 1.
Yeah, he's having fun, that's for sure. But when you look at his pace compared to Gottsacker, it's not in the same zip code. Gottsacker down in the 219s, and Kozarov, despite the impressive run here, is in the low 221. So you'd have to think, when things settle down here and cycle through this pit stop exchange, that Gottsacker is going to be in great shape with the pace he has here this weekend.
Good shot now of that McLaren 570 GT4, and I got to think Ray Mason started that car. We'll have Paul Holt behind the wheel now, and he's getting aggressive, getting around the number 40 Mustang. That's James Pesic and Shelby Blackstock machine. He's right behind the number 51 of Preston Calvert now coming up through the field.
Yeah, and certainly Paul Holton knows this McLaren 570 as very, very well. Had a great year last year. He's now McLaren official team driver, factory driver. So that's a nice acknowledgement for his impressive pace last year. Won the TC Championship driving that Audi TCR machine. Just a young man who is going places in sports car competition.
Looking at some of the cars, you see Paul Holton flashing his lights to Preston Calvert, desperate to get around and make up some ground here. Back in 23rd, working his way up now, down to the inside of Calvert. And there is George Kurtz with his teammate Colin Brown. And Colin, you know, a lot of history and experience as well as for that young man.
Yeah, Colin's one of the quickest kids in the paddock, that is for sure. I call him a kid. He's still young, even though despite he's been in this paddock for so many years in sports car competition. But he led one of the earlier practice sessions this weekend, so he certainly has the pace to do it. James Safronis is going to be tough in the GMG Audi as well, so he's got a lot of really tough competition if you're going to get a victory here this afternoon.
Looking down to see who has made pit stops and who hasn't. The number 11 Chevy Camaro switching over to Michael Cooper now. I think that's the first car that has taken a pit stop so far. Is your leader, Vesko Kozarov, down on pit lane in that Reardon Racing Audi R8. See right behind him, Shane Lewis coming in. Here goes Kozarov. Oh, got a pit spot all the way down in his Reardon Racing machine. Ace Roby going to come in and do the driver change there. Your leader in.
35 miles an hour is the pit lane speed limit.
Ryan, can you get a view of our driver change for the leaders?
Taking a look at it right now, Jeff. It looks like Vesko Kozarov climbing out of the car. What an impressive opening stint from him. He'll be replaced in that beautiful Audi by Ace Roby here in just a moment. Interesting roll of the dice with the strategy call. The drivers, choosing where to go. That's a couple of bronzes, so they had some opportunity to make their choice, who they want to start, who they want to finish. Whether or not the cautions played into their hands, that remains to be seen. But an interesting and successful opening stint so far. The driver change just wrapping up.
Saw Toby Grahovic actually stayed out on the track this last time. Just set a personal best in sector number 1. He's going to be trying to hustle it around because he has to get in pit late and complete that pit stop in the 72nd roll. And I don't think he can do it, Cal.
Now, basically, he's got a pit before 26:17 is on the board. Because if you take 77 seconds off, you're going to be under that 25 to go mark. So they may have cut it a little bit too shy here. And the rule is 35 minutes. You've got to be out of the pit lane. You've got to hit the timing out loop. not just get in by 35, it's been done with the pit stop.
Excuse me, it looks like it's going to be Jade Buford stepping into that number 55 with Scott Maxwell. That should, when the pit stop cycle around, should be your leader in the PF Racing Ford Mustang, followed by Michael Cooper, and then Drew Stavely has worked his way up. He's in 12th overall, should be third in line, and Lawson Aschenbach in fourth.
We'll know within a lap how everyone's stacked up here, who got the edge, who didn't. Certainly for Kozrov, I think they were hoping that he had a few more green flag laps on the board to try and gap the rest of the competition. It's pretty tight. You can't afford to run afoul of those rules, and I think for Grahovic, they may have miscalculated here, Jeff.
Okay, comes down onto pit lane, 27 seconds to go. Trying to see if we can get a word from Ryan Marine there if he sees that classic BMW pit spot, if they can get out in time. Only has 18 seconds left before he can get across that line.
Don't see how they're going to make it happen, but we'll deal with that in a moment. The mule up front, things are shaking up here.
Yeah,
here you see damage. Aschenbach looks to the inside of Stavely. Yeah, we've shown Lawson over the years, shown so much patience and racecraft, but he's put in a tough situation. And there you look at the clock, we're under 25 minutes. The 92 car is on pit lane. That is not going to work. That is not going to work. I'm not sure if they just misjudged how the rule works, but essentially it's not hitting pit lane by 35 minutes, it's being done.
Looking at the 92 classic BMW, trying to get word if they extended that time a little bit due to the yellow flags that we did have. So they may have actually timed it quite perfectly, but we'll see what happens when everybody cycles back around for Toby Grahovic's classic BMW team.
They look happy, so unless I'm misinterpreting the rules, Jeff.
Like I said, the only thing that it might possibly have been is had they extended that pit stop time due to the yellow flags. That's the only thing, and they could have did an all call to race control from all the teams to let them know that, hey, we are extending these times around. As Chris Omach comes into that car now. I believe he actually got out ahead of Jade Buford, or he's definitely ahead of Lawson Aschenbach. I don't think he got ahead of Buford, though.
Well, they confused us there. Why Godsacker has lost so much time unless they had a really slow pit stop and just played it too conservatively, because he's buried right now, showing in the 8th position. While Aschenbach is in 5th. So you have a guy who's in the lead versus a guy that's got damage in terms of Pilgrim's machine, and you lose positions on there.
Yeah, we'll have to check and see what the pit lane times were for each of these drivers. We're waiting for the time to cycle through after they cross the line.
For Godsacker, it should have been easy math. Bring the car, park it for 45 seconds and go. Nothing else had to happen, unless he couldn't get far under the hood or something.
Yeah, you have to turn your cars off when you do come to the pit stop, so if you're not able to refire the car, if it takes an extra couple of seconds to get that car refired, that could have been the loss of the pit spot time.
Up front, there's Michael Cooper. We said he'd be a factor today. He is. He's running up in the top 3. Going to try and chase down Jade Buford.
I think he's going to be in second here because, you know, Chris Omach in that BMW still listed as first right now, but they haven't cycled back through.
Good point.
You saw Buford ahead of Cooper. Drew Stavely there as well, doing a great job. But it was like you said, he's by himself in that number 12 Janetta. Park it for 45 seconds and then go. Assuming you're doing the pit lane speed, you're good to go. Let's hit some more news down on pit lane from Ryan Marine.
Yeah, guys checked in on the classic BMW situation, and the team indicated they think they're okay. They think they got the driver change done in time. The series, to this point at least, has not indicated otherwise. So they believe in the classic BMW pits that they're good to go.
Drew Stavely under attack, or attacking Chris Omach now in that BMW.
As you said, Jeff, with the timing and scoring now cycling through, it is Buford who leads from Cooper. 92 cars shown in 3rd position.
There's a good battle with Jason Bell, Gar Robinson. Jason Bell, one of those drivers that's doing it by himself. Gar behind him, and then Colin Brown working his way through the field. Back in 19th, this will be a spot for 18th now as he can get around Gar here.
Yeah, Gar didn't want to give it up. Side-by-side action up there through turn 1, and he has to drop back a little bit. So the Ranch 74 team gradually getting to grips with this AMG number 74. It's a really stellar team. A lot of success in Trans Am competition recently. And Gar is a real chip off the old block of his father, George Robinson.
Kyle Marcelli now in that FAF Racing Porsche Cayman, the number 13 that you see. He'll be working his way up from his teammate Fidani, who started that vehicle with FAF Motorsports. And right behind him was that second car we saw with Henry Schmidt and Gregory Leafouge. So Gregory Leafouge in 13th now.
Yeah, you talk about some of the names, guys like Kyle Marcelli. You got Stephen McAleer behind the wheel of the 17 car, sharing that car with Justin Raphael. There's some real studs behind the wheel there to try and get to this checkered flag this afternoon. Buford, though, he's a threat for this championship. Found a great home. Didn't know where he was going to be throughout the majority of this offseason. Got the call with PF Racing. And he is a great fit. Has a lot of experience with the Mustangs, with the Multimatic group over the years. So in terms of developing this race car, having an association with the factory essentially, that was a great fit for that team to make that decision.
Did a lot of development driving on this Ford Mustang GT4. Competed last season in the American Ninja Warrior TV show. Just got the call actually 2 days ago that he qualified for the new season of American Ninja Warrior. Unfortunately, they wanted him to film that episode on the VIR race weekend, so he's trying to see if he can get that rescheduled. So if you're a fan of that TV show, now you got a local racer to cheer from too with Jade Buford in that Mustang.
Looking at the lap times, he and Michael Cooper are super close, just a tenth of a second apart right now in terms of their last lap. So similar pace. Aschenbach will be happy to have his car up into the top 6 after a frustrating qualifying performance, then narrowly missing major damage to the front end of that race car and the stack up in turn 1 with Andy Pilgrim behind the wheel.
Jason Bell and the number 40 Mustang, the teammate there to your overall leader, Jay Buford. That's Shelby Blackstock behind the wheel now. And then right behind him, the number 19, Jeff Burton in his reared-in racing Audi R8 GT4 car. And getting word now that Kyle Marcelli, that number 13 Porsche, going to be getting a drive-through penalty. Too fast on pit lane. Ryan Marine, what do you have down there on pit?
Now standing by with one of the guys you were just talking about, Scott Maxwell, watching Jade Buford in action just a little bit ago. How was your first stint in Pirelli World Challenge?
Pretty quiet. I only did 2 racing laps, so it was a little frustrating. I wanted to get going there and try to have a run up to the front, but the car was good. And Jade's doing a great job, so our Ford Performance car is strong. We're leading right now, but we got some hot shoes trying to catch up, so it should be interesting.
Anything you learned today that you can use again tomorrow?
Well, it's my first PWC Pirelli race, so I'm learning as I go. Every time out, I'm learning something new, especially about the tires. So, I hopefully can apply it tomorrow, and I'm the finisher tomorrow, so that should be interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's a great point that Scott brings up. Finishing driver today starts tomorrow, and the grid is based on the car's fastest lap, so it doesn't matter which driver set the fast lap. The grid will be stacked up according to the fast lap times from today's race.
Right now,
contact there with the 19 Audi.
We saw the guys battling there in that 19. That's Jeff Burton. He was battling with Shelby Blackstock and Jason Bell. Let's take a quick look here and see what we can see.
Oh, he just loses it. Oh, and then backs it into the
number 34 Morello Racing Machine.
Yeah, Shimshak.
Just lost it. You heard him lose. I'm not sure he got back underway or not. But here's Colin Brown and Paul Holt. Mark Clinton with Max Riddle now behind the wheel of that McLaren. Max Riddle, some great success in the Aston Martin GT4 programs. Won a lot of races with his co-driver Chris Wilson last season in Sprint X competition.
I think they won the very first Sprint X races,
ever.
Didn't they, up in Canada?
Yeah, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park they did, yes. Won again at Utah Motorsports campus as well.
Great to see Max back in Pirelli World Challenge competition. Currently running the 16th spot, so I don't think Colin Brown envisioned being battling for 17th with Paul Holton. I think he had visions of battling for the lead here this afternoon, so they've got a lot of work to do to get up into the big points. The focus now will be on getting a good fast lap in to establish a grid for tomorrow. So trying to turn a bad day or a frustrating day into a good one for tomorrow.
Battle for 18th as it was Max Riddle who had it. Gar Robinson went down to the inside in turn number 20, made that move, and Riddle able to get back around Robinson going down into turn number 1.
We saw a little bit of spray up near the hood area of the McLaren there. As a little overheating valve, I think, that releases pressure there, so keep an eye on that.
Gottsecker continues to put down laps. He's lapping, besides Drew Stavely, who just set his best lap, he was lapping about a second quicker than the cars in front of him as that Morello Racing comes down there to number 34. You see the pit stop there, Ryan Marine.
Yep, taking a look at it right now. Interesting to note, no tire changes in GTS in Sprint X unless you can prove that you have a problem with the tire. Right now, this car up on the jacks, they're going to make that change at the right rear. From my perspective, it appears there is some right front damage to this Morello Racing Mercedes AMG. They're going to take a look at that as well and try and get the car back out into the fight.
Yeah, very unfortunate, Ryan. That was really involved into a car that, wasn't his own fault. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, that's just racing sometimes. Nothing you can do about that. You're just minding your own business, and suddenly, before you know it, you're involved in someone else's little error there. But try and regroup. Matt certainly did a great job at the start of this race, running up in the top 5 or 6 there after a strong qualifying effort this morning.
Well, Jade Buford continues to lead over Michael Cooper and Drew Stavely, your top 3 here today for Sprint X. As he gets back underway in that Morello Racing car, some body rub. It looks like still some damage at the front end as well. A big old gouge in the door when he ran by there as our safety crews trying to get some of the cars. Got a gap in the, cover that by a yellow flag. And
it's only about 20 grand's worth of pieces. GT4 cars are fun, but you don't want to be fixing them too often.
Not at all. And wait for the safety crew and the track crew here at Circuit of the Americas. Those Nissan Titan safety vehicles as well, able to get that clear. We're able to stay under green. Yeah, Nate Stacy there to the outside of the 27 classic BMW.
Al Carter there, tucked way to the inside, trying to defend that overtaking opportunity up into turn 1. With Aurora Strauss, who did a really nice job in qualifying. We're super impressed with her here this weekend in terms of her on track and off track. She had a busy weekend, was on Good Morning America, getting a lot of PR for our championship and for herself as a driver.
Yeah, got a good surprise there right at the end as Danica Patrick came through and wished her good luck. So a pretty neat deal to be on the national broadcast there with Al Carter a little bit loose in that M4. Jason Hart right behind him, starting to pressure in that classic BMW as they go side by side down through turn number 9. James Safranis in that number 14 Audi R8 LMS GT4. Harry Gottsecker's worked his way up to 4th now as he's starting to climb back up after a terrible pit stop for that Sin R1 Racer Edge team.
Lost a ton of ground there. Obviously, they were one of the first to pit. Well, we had the back tail end of the field pit first, and then as soon as the pit lane opened, that 25-minute window for the leaders, he was in. But it should have been a pretty easy stop in terms of just putting the stopwatch on it. So I'm not sure how they lost so much ground, unless he just came out in some bad traffic and just got caught out that way with other cars that stayed on the racetrack.
Getting the word that Kyle Marcelli had to do that drive-through penalty due to being too fast during that driver change, that 72nd lap. He has not come into the pits yet, so actually getting a black flag. And I think if you get the chance to see that black flag once or twice, if you don't make the trip down pit lane, they'll just simply stop scoring you.
Yeah, you got to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to live to fight another day. It's going to be all over. But James Safranis, what a year he had last year. 11 wins in total in Sprint and Sprint X competition. Has made the switch to the Audi for this year after a long history of Porsche, but he's an Audi guy as well. 200 plus starts now in Pirelli World Challenge competition, and still doesn't miss a beat. Very much in the thick of the action.
And what a superb run here from your GTS AM leader, Drew Stavely, in that Ginetta G55. He's running by himself here. And no co-driver came out pit lane, set there for that 45-second mandatory run, swept the weekend at St. Petersburg, Florida, leading here today.
Yeah, it's a really cool story. Basically had a driving career that really wasn't going anywhere. Then he met up with Frank Gannett at the driving school out at Utah Motorsports campus, got the opportunity to put a team together, and I think under the guidance of someone like Ian Lacey, that's a very strong combination. So hats off to Frank Gannett, who's competing here this weekend in supporting Drew and the whole team, and given a young driver who kind of slipped through the net a new opportunity with his racing career, and Drew is paying him back with wins.
There is your leader, Jade Buford, in that number 55 Mustang. There is the gap back to second, Michael Cooper in his Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro. Both of these cars, the new homologated GT4 versions that we've seen competing here in Pirelli World Challenge competition before, is Gottsecker back there for third, looking to the inside of Drew Stavely coming down here into turn number 12. You can see them hard on the brakes, paddle shiftering on both of these cars. We got the old pony car wars, muscle car battle, American Iron V8s, and we got paddle shifters on the wheel.
Doesn't sound quite right, does it?
Not at all.
But talking to Michael this morning, he was really concerned about managing the tires over the long run here. So obviously with not a lot of green flag running in the first half of this race, that has saved the tires a little bit, but he just wanted to make sure he managed those. He said that Lawson's saying the opposite, that we wouldn't be quick over the one lap, but we would be strong over the longer run. But even so, let's not forget Lawson Oschenbach's car is carrying that extra 2.5% of weight with Andy Pilgrim as his co-driver this afternoon, as Lawson still runs in the top 6. So Fronis has got around him.
Speaking
Whitmer
of cars
just
that got
laid down
around
a good lap. Whitmer has just laid down a 19.5, fastest lap of the race, quicker than Gottsacker.
Yeah, and speaking of Gottsecker, up to third place now. He gets around Drew Stavely, so as they come across the line, he'll shuffle into that third position. Still was the fastest car on the track by, 1.5 seconds over Buford in the leader. The gap is 3.6 seconds back to that second place car of Michael Cooper, and then another 3 seconds up to Buford. So he's about 6 seconds total from our leader, but only 9 minutes to go, so I'm not sure if he can do that. See that Gottsecker, his lap times have always been down in that 2:20, but let's get down to Ryan Moraine here with the Racer Edge team.
I do have an update for you. It sounds like it was simply a miscommunication on pit road about when to go, when to leave the pit stall, they say. Nothing more nefarious than that. Simply a miscommunication this time.
Yeah, it could be devastating and ultimately cost young Harry Gottsecker a victory here. He's still in that podium spot, sitting in third. Not sure there's enough time, Cal, making up 7 seconds here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get closer to Cooper, whether he can get close enough to attack him and make a move. But the good news is he's got a relatively quick lap. He's probably going to be in the top couple of rows. Not pole position material right now, because I see that Hart has got a 2:19.6 on the board. Whitmer's got a 2:19.5. Gottsacker a 2:19.7. So, yeah, it's frustrating to see one get away from him. He's had the pace here, and it must have been a big miscommunication. It looked like they lost about 10 seconds to the rest of the field.
Under 9 minutes to go here, about 8.5 left. Kyle Marcelli, I believe, served his penalties. He drops back down to 20th in the fray there with the Battle of Carr Robinson. Max Riddle, he's sitting in 18th now in his McLaren. Preston Calvert right behind him, the lone Panos left in this field. And you can see McLaren right there behind him, back and forth, trying to get around. Is Calvert able to get around Max Riddle?
That's a great little battle there. Preston's really feeling it. He's working hard on his fitness and is taking things seriously as he makes the move to the Panos team for this year. When you got a guy like Tom Milner at the helm, it kind of motivates you. He's a great motivator, and he's a keen racer. Even though he says, I'm somewhat retired, he's still leading this race team. And they've got some real pros, some real veterans of many years of motorsport in that workshop, working hard to get these cars to the front.
Well, McAllister goes from behind and passes both of them down the straightaway in his Monticello Motor Club Classic BMW.
Well, he's a champion. He knows how to win in these style of race cars, and has done it before. And I think he's another one of these guys who's just give him the right opportunity. Oh, we see a battle here.
Yeah, Lawson Oschenbach has that 6th place. Nick Whitmer wants it.
Yeah.
His teammate Samantha Tan started that BMW, and he goes down to the inside to make that move over Oschenbach.
Yeah, Whitmer is absolutely flying. He has the fastest lap of the race right now. Lawson doesn't want to give it up. Now he has to. Just tuck back in. Whitmer is absolutely flying up to the 6th position.
Yeah, fastest race lap, that 2:19.546. So the car that finishes is the person that starts the race. So he's right now on pole and moving up into that 6th place.
See him there using all of that curb and more. Lawson tucks it even more inside. So that's the giveaway. They told him in the driver's meeting, we're going to give that one to you, and everyone's taking advantage of it.
Yeah, use
see
every
what happens
bit of
for
track
tomorrow.
you can, right? And they see, there goes Lawson snapping over to the inside, trying everything he can to fill up the mirrors.
Oh, Whitmer's into the ABS.
Racing.
I think he got in super deep there. Once the ABS kicks in, you lose the steering. And Boy, oh boy. A little moment, he's pushing him hard.
You can see Whitmer defending down there to the inside, sees that there's no more threat, starts to work his way back to the outside, and that's okay. That's not a block. You're not making a move in reaction or move in response.
Yeah, and that's the real key. That's what stewards want to see. They want to see good, hard racing, but make it fair. If you want to make a move, if you don't want to defend your line, do it early. Be proactive. Don't react to someone who's making a move behind you, because it can get ugly, and that's what you don't want to see, any contact.
Well, Aschenbach back to 7th now. Whitmer up to that 6th position. It still is Jade Buford over Michael Cooper by 3.1 seconds. Harry Gottsecker about a little less than 5.5 seconds back, still in 3rd. We'll see what that gap is when they cross the line here with about 5.5 minutes to go. Should be about 2.5 laps to go here.
Yeah, I think that Gottsacker may have enough strength and speed right now to catch Cooper. It's going to be really tight there for that 2nd position. I think Buford's got the race handled right now, unless something happens to his race car. But I think for Michael Cooper, he's got to dig deep here, because looking at the lap times, the last time over the stripe, Gottsacker was over a second faster than Michael Cooper, and the gap right now is only just over a second.
And you can see it right there on your screen as Gottsacker going to the inside in that Sin R1. Michael Cooper will do all he can to try to stay in front of this Sin, and if those cars start battling, I think, like you mentioned there, Cal, I think Jade will just be able to pull away once these cars get side by side and battle for that 2nd position.
Well, Jade has got that nice comfort factor, about 3 seconds. If you hit a little bit of traffic, you don't have to panic, you don't have to make any rash moves. You can afford to lose a second or two and still not be looking in your mirrors. But for these guys, it is game on. And tell you what, if they get pulled to any at all, Sofronis is not that far back, the number 14 GMG Audi.
See Michael Cooper using that every bit of course there in turn number 8, then down in turn number 9, this downhill turn 10 into the hard braking zone of 11. Gottsacker not close enough to make that move for 3rd base, right on the back bumper of that Camaro, as James Sofronis getting around Drew Stavely. Stavely maybe closing that gap a little bit here. It was about 0.3 of a second quicker the previous lap.
The key for Stavely is just focus on the AM division. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in the battle. Yes, you want to finish as high as you possibly can, but don't throw it all away for a position that really doesn't matter in the overall scheme of things. But right now, we talk about Harry Gottsacker and learning the trade. He is learning from some of the best in the business right now.
Gottsacker sitting back in 3rd with Michael Cooper, your GTS champ. Was a Cadillac factory driver, one of those young men that worked his way up through the Pirelli World Challenge ladder system, started in our touring car division and a Mazda Speed 3, won the championship there in 2012. Kind of took a couple years off, went through school, got a degree, working on a couple more degrees now, came back and won the GTS championship, and that earned his Cadillac ride, competed last season with multiple wins.
Yeah, won that Sprint X title with Jordan Taylor. So Michael, very frustrated that he doesn't have to ride in the GT form of competition this year, and essentially signed a contract with a team that suddenly changed on him, and it's hard to pick up the pieces, but I think everyone knows the talent that Michael Cooper has. It's only a matter of time before he gets his next opportunity in the next class up the ladder in Pirelli World Challenges. Gottsacker gets a big run here up the front straightaway. Cooper starts to move, he starts to feint. No, he doesn't. Gottsacker goes to the inside, takes the Sin down to the apex. Just needs to control it right here. Cooper tries to do the over-under. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, that Sin is just so good on the handling and the lighter weight, able to be on the brakes a little bit better down there into turn number 1. Makes the move, gets the pass done. Cooper couldn't do anything but just let him go by.
I think right now for Cooper, is just trying to hang on to that podium, because Sofronis has got some pace and he's not that far behind.
Looking at our AM category, Drew Stavely leading over Chris Omak in 2nd in his BMW, and 3rd in our AM category. You got to go down here. I believe it was Preston Calvert now in the AM.
Preston's had a really strong weekend.
Now skipped over Al Carter and Aurora Strauss 2nd in their BMW, the number 36.
Cooper settling in. He can see James Sofronis in his rearview mirror. Right now, looking at the pace, I'm not sure if Sofronis has enough pace to chase after Cooper with the time remaining in this race dwindling. Should be this lap plus one more.
Yeah, should be getting white flag this time by. And Gottsacker not very far off. He might have something to be able to run down Buford here in the closing moments. The gap was 3.3 before this. I think it's going to be a lot closer when they come across the stripe with Gottsacker.
And a question of what might have been. I mean, we've still got a lap to go here, so anything can happen. But for Gottsacker from the pole, has had the pace all day long. That little snafu, as Ryan related to in pit lane, just a miscalculation, miscommunication in terms of when they sent the car, has cost him the track position. He's fought hard to get back up to second, but you can see right there, Buford has a healthy margin, but one lap to go, and Harry is digging deep.
He is. You can see him hitting right to the edge. Buford running a little wide there at 19. Comes back here in that Ford Performance PF Racing Mustang GT4 out of turn number 20. Crosses the line. The time has not expired yet, so there it is. The white flag as they come by. One lap to go, and we're looking for that gap. It's 1.6 seconds. That time by, he was 1.6 seconds quicker than that previous lap. So right on there. Of course, catching him is totally different than passing him.
Yeah, and I mean, Buford has been in this position before many times on a couple of GTS races, despite only doing a partial season last year. And he knows the Sin. He's driven the Sin to victory, the car that's right behind him, so he'll know its strengths. He'll know it'll be good where he needs to defend from, and that's an advantage for him.
Yeah, Jade, pretty much every time he drove this Sin R1 GT4, he was in victory circle with this car. So like you said, Cal really should know even where to defend against that car as well.
This guy hit his marks, even though that red Sin is looming large in his rearview mirrors. Just hit your marks. You got enough of a gap to just bring it home.
Well, looking at our Pro category, it's the Jade Buford, Gottsacker, and Cooper. Drew Stavely leading 5th overall. Second is that Al Carter, Aurora Strauss BMW in 2nd place, 10th overall, and Chris Omak and Toby Grahovic, who we thought didn't quite complete their pit stops on time. I guess they did. They're back in 3rd, 14th overall in the AM category. It's going to come down here to the wire, though, as Gottsacker behind Buford, but just not enough gap, I don't think.
Yeah, I think your key may be right on in terms of how they may be inside that pit stop window, is maybe they moved it in terms of when they started the clock. By the stewards, we didn't get that notification, but maybe the teams did. We'll have to clarify that once we get through the checker here. But just a few corners to go. Buford looks to be in control, but Gottsacker is honing in.
Now Jade, Scott Maxwell making his debut here at Pirelli World Challenge. Never ran Pirelli World Challenge with all of his experience before. It's his first time he's ever driven here. And to come out, not bad for, I guess, I don't think you'd be a rookie, but the rookie in Pirelli World Challenge.
Big for this team as well, their debut win. PF Racing.
And one more corner to go. Jade Buford downshifts it a couple times. Comes out of turn number 20. There it is. Checkered flag, your race winner today. Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell in that PF Racing Ford Mustang GT4. Harry Gottsacker, the Racer Edge Sin R1, getting 2nd. And how about Michael Cooper and Tony Gaples, 3rd overall in that GTS Pro-Am category for Michael Cooper.
That was brilliant for Tony Gaples. Great qualifying performance. He'll be frustrated not to have more racing under his belt today with the couple of cautions we saw early on, but still a strong run and another podium finish for him.
See the Mustang there, Nate Stacey, number 52. It looks like there at the end, a couple cars 3 wide there, as you see it. Colin Brown, I believe that's Al Carter, and Gregory Leafouge. Not sure who got around the line there.
I think.
And it was Colin Brown. So Colin, Carter, and Leafouge. So it looks like Al Carter able to hold his 11th position, and that was actually for a podium spot.
Of course, the finish line is earlier. I think as we were seeing them, they'd already
passed. Yeah, so that's right. The finish line's a little bit earlier. There's Gar Robinson comes across the line, and Preston Calvin. See if we can see who got to the initial line of the checkered flag for that 3 wide finish here.
Me out every time looking at the wrong stripe. Here they come. There's the stripe, the first one.
Yeah, it looks like it was Colin Brown, then Al Carter, and Gregory Leafouge. But Al Carter and LeFou, that was for 2nd in the AM category.
Yeah, no, it would have been a lot different if they were going to the start line versus the finish line that you run here.
Well, it took a little while to get started, but once it did get going, it was battles all throughout, including our leader there. And like you said, Cal, got a feel for Harry Gottsacker.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated. He's just got to bounce back tomorrow. Got another full race to go by himself. Looking at the fastest lap times, Whitmer continues to hang on at that fast lap of the day. And and Hart in the 27. That's a great run for those guys. They should line up second tomorrow. Leothouge has a 19.6 on his
It'll be
clock
third
as well, yeah. Maybe Gottsacker on the outside of the second row.
Oh wait, I got a 219.550 for McAleer, number 17 BMW. Here's a look at your results though.
Yeah.
Jade Buford, Scott Maxwell, once again your race winners in that PF Racing Ford Mustang. Harry Gottsacker, driving by himself in that number 69 Cent. Michael Cooper, Tony Gaples able to get third. James DeFronis, Alex Welch in the fourth place. Drew Stavely able to get fifth, their first place in our AM category. It was Nick Whitmer, Samantha Tan in sixth in the number 38. Lawson Aschenbach able to salvage with Andy Pilgrim a seventh place finish in his Camaro. Jason Hard, Mike Vest in the eighth position, and Nate Stacy, Dean Martin in the number 9 and the number 52, and Colin Brown, George Kurtz rounding out your top 10. Yeah, looking at the times again, once again, the 2:19.550, I believe Magler is going to be starting second. Only 4 thousandths of a second away from that pole position.
Whitman had a great run there. The whole group will be ecstatic. Had a nice little get-together in the paddock last night where all of the teams were invited. It wasn't just for the ST Racing group. Everyone was there, a lot of the officials, obviously, and we swung by Jeff. It was a first-class evening put on by Samantha's dad, so we appreciate the invite, and they're rewarded nicely with a great run here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken Tan with that Samantha Tan Racing team. Good barbecue and food down there, so we appreciate that. A lot of great stuff going on here at Pirelli World Challenge. Go to world-challenge.com. Check out the race calendar. If you're anywhere close or near to a race, you need to come to one of these events. Here at Circuit of the Americas, this world-class facility, got the cool Optima Battery fan zone set up. Playing a lot of games down through there. Hyundai has a good center set up where you can get t-shirts, hats, lanyards, wins a lot of prizes there. So pretty cool deal going on all down here at Circuit of the Americas and every Pirelli World Challenge event. Looking at there's that Jade Buford, that white bumper. That car got delivered to the track Wednesday evening, and it was damaged in the race you saw with Jade in the first race at St. Petersburg. Made some contact there, so they haven't even had a chance to get that front end wrapped the right color or painted the right color on those PF Racing Mustangs, so just got that car back. Had a huge hit as well with Vinny Algaretta's car later on in that race at St. Petersburg, so that team had a lot of work to do getting it done and back out here for racing.
Yeah, that was a big one. St. Pete there brought out the early finish to that race, but Buford celebrates with his new teammate.
Now he's trying to climb up on that door bar. Be careful, don't hurt yourself for that American Ninja Warrior part. But getting the hug there, it was Scott Maxwell, Jade Buford, and down on pit lane, Ryan Marine with our race winners.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, posing for pictures here. A couple of happy guys, happy race winners. We'll let you get your helmet off here, Jade. We'll start perhaps with you, Scott. Welcome to Pirelli World Challenge. Pretty nice way to get things going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't really expecting a win first time out, but we'll take it. Jade had to work really hard there at the end for it. I didn't do too much, a couple laps. So this is Jade's win, and the Team PF Racing did a great job.
First win as well for the Ford Mustang GT4 in Pirelli World Challenge. You guys have been working hard on this car for quite some time. Jade, let's go to you now. Let's get the balaclava off. Congratulations. Victory lane. And you do it with your old running mate in Scott. How about that? How does this one feel?
It feels pretty good. We earned that one for sure. Some of the cars have outright pace on us, but we just executed the perfect race. We knew that was going to be our strength is consistency, and we went out and just executed the best we could, and that's all the cars got. Some people definitely have outright pace on us. That's their advantage. Cars could fall differently, and we're going to be a sitting duck the way we are, but our Ford Performance Multimatic built Mustang GT4 performed flawlessly. Could not be happier.
Congratulations. Do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll try our best.
But Jade Buford, it seems Cal just doesn't know anything but winning when he comes into Pirelli World Challenge competition, able to do a full season this time.
Well, he's becoming the consummate pro. I mean, he's learned lessons from guys like Lawson Aschenbach where they can accept the congratulations, but also put in that little, we don't have the pace to really do this every day, but he's spot on when you look at the lap times. There were faster cars in this race, but nonetheless executed it perfectly. Got a little bit of a break with Gottsacker on the pit stop, but great run for that whole team.
Well, that's in the books for our Pirelli World Challenge, round number 1 of the GTS Sprint X right here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Texas, presented here at Circuit of the Americas. And we have our AM winner, as well. If we look at the results there, Drew Stavely in the Ginetta G55 for Drew Stavely. Let's get down. I believe Ryan Marine has our second place finisher there with, I believe, Nick Whitmer, our fastest lap for our poll starting tomorrow.
You got it, guys. Fastest lap in the race means good starting position tomorrow, Nick. How important do you think that's going to be?
I'm so happy to be pole tomorrow. I mean, you can't say no to that. That's an awesome position to start with. ST Racing is going to start up front. Thanks to ST Racing for preparing this car. Thank you, Samantha Tan, for my co-pilot. She brought me the car super clean. Tires were amazing. That's all her job was to do. We started in the back, got all the way in the front, and then we won the hard charger, fastest lap. This is just as much as a win for us.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, good run from him to pole position, and like you said, working his way back from the back of the pack all the way up to 6th place.
Yeah, awesome run for that whole group. There's Samantha, she celebrates as well, so congratulations to the whole team. Perfect execution, and the other car had a strong run as well with Aurora Strauss and Al Carter.
Yeah, 2nd place in our AM category was the STR Racing BMW M4 GT4. Well, that is going to conclude our coverage here for the GTS Sprint X. Congratulations to Drew Stavely in that Ian Lacey Racing Ginetta G55, your race winner, AM category. 2nd place goes to Aurora Strauss, Al Carter in the 2nd of those ST Racing BMWs. And 3rd place, right at the line, it was the Henry Schmidt, Gregor Leia Foos machine, Steve Cameron Racing in that BMW M4 GT4. Well, thank you so much, Cal. That was exciting. Like I said, it took a little time to get it going, but once it did, it was fast and furious.
It was fun. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much to Ryan Marine on pit lane. Calvin Fish, I'm Jeff Leppard. Thanks for joining us here at world-challenge.com. Stick around. Still some more action to go here on our live webcast at worldchallenge.com. We'll see everybody back again here for round number 1 of the Sprint X competition in our GT a little later this afternoon.